is up, everybody? It's Bart Johnson here, and once again, it is Saturday afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, time for our weekly live show. This is day, I don't even know what, of the global lockdown quarantine, which is actually part of why I'm wearing my hat today, because the quarantine hair is getting a little bit unruly, and I need my wife to spend a few more hours watching YouTube haircutting videos before I let her come at me with the clippers. So yeah, there we go. But yeah, welcome guys. Today we're gonna be talking NAB stuff. So obviously NAB 2020 did not happen, but if it had happened, it would have been this week. I would have been there. Would have been my 6th year in a row going. I would have been back by now. I would have been readjusting to the real world and remembering the actual value of money after not only being in Vegas, but seeing all of the crazy, crazy awesome gear at NAB. But obviously it didn't happen this year, but that doesn't mean that we didn't get some cool announcements from some of our favorite companies. And I know there's going to be even more to come, but we're going to talk about some of the ones that happened this past week. I want to hear from you guys because this is a live show. So of course, as always, we have our live chat here, and I really want to communicate and connect with you guys, figure out what you think about some of these things that have been announced, whether you like them, whether you don't like them, and some stuff that maybe you're looking forward to and hoping will be announced in the coming weeks, because I know a few companies do have some stuff scheduled for even into May to be released, so that's cool. So let's go ahead and take a look here, see who we've got in the chat. We've got Shiznuts in here. Ooh, a regular, of course. Glad to see you, buddy. Niha's in here. Week number 3 for Tango. So I guess you're on week 3 of lockdown there. Kevin, Basic Filmmaker, you made it, buddy. Good to see you. Always good to have you in here. Yeah, and Kevin will be streaming later on today. I always pop in on his unscripted channel ones. Those are always fun. Yeah, Shiznut's is saying from what I've read, Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K dropped $500. Yes, that is true. I actually didn't even add that into all my stuff here because it happened so recently. Niha saying, I was about to buy a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera, but due to Corona paused. Yeah, it's probably a good idea to, as much as we want to with all this stuff coming out, it's probably a good idea to tread carefully on purchases right now, because you don't know how long this is going to last. You don't know when you're going to be able to recoup that money if you're using it for, work purposes, when the next job will be or anything like that. It's crazy times. And of course, we got amazing new stuff that has been announced, and man, they're killing us, right? Like we're stuck in here and they keep showing us the good stuff. But I mean, if they didn't, I feel like we'd be upset, right? Like if NAB week went by and nothing happened, we'd be like, well, where is it? We still want to drool over it, even if we probably can't get it for like, I don't know, months. But yeah, let's see what we get. Shiznuts is saying, yeah, I'm only buying stuff I can sell something first. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, not stockpiling on equipment, because we don't know what everything's going to look like after this, unfortunately. And unfortunately, our industry is one that's being hit pretty hard. And who knows what it's even going to look like after the fact. But there we go. Sorry, the office in here is kind of a mess. I was doing some experimenting with some stuff and playing around. And you know what? I really didn't bother putting anything away, because the bigger a mess I make, then it gives me a project later to clean it up. So that's what I'll do with the rest of the day. I'll put everything back and make everything nice and tidy again. So there we go. Niha's asking, what's that drink? This is my usual. This is just unsweetened iced tea. I love it. And for those of you who don't believe me, I have a spare ready to refill right here. So I do love my iced tea. We go through quite a lot of it. Well, I say we. It's really just me. My wife just buys tons of it and I tear through it. So it's good stuff. But anyway, you guys want to start looking at some stuff? I think we probably should. And one of the first things, I'm kind of going to start with the bigger stuff, like cameras, and then kind of work our way through. And if there is anything along the way, I'll throw it out to the chat as well, because I want to hear from you guys, because I've been so busy. There obviously could have been stuff that went under the radar that I missed, but I think I got most of the big ones in here. So we're gonna go ahead and dive right in and see what we got. So let's see here. First and foremost, ooh, that cam outline looks terrible, doesn't it? Let's fix that there. Ooh, what happened? There we go. My OCD kicked in. I need my formatting to look good. EOS R5. So we've been hearing rumors about this camera for a while. It was just rumors about specs, and they all seemed kind of too good to be true. And now we've got confirmation of a lot of those specs from Canon, and it still feels a little too good to be true because we're waiting to get the full specs and what some of the caveats might be. But right now this camera is looking insane. So for those of you who might not know about the Canon R5, this is sort of the next iteration in their mirrorless lineup. So obviously they've got the EOS R, which came out. It was hit and miss for people. Some people liked it, some people hated it. But anyway, they're moving forward with that lineup, with the mirrorless, which is good because it feels like they were one of the last companies to sort of get into that mirrorless world. And it seems like they've made a camera that really is video focused and is awesome. So you see that moniker 5 in there. That kind of aligns it. If you think about it in your mind, this is almost like the 5D of their mirrorless lineup. So it's the R5. There are rumors of an R6, so that would be like the 6D, because Canon, the lower the number, the higher the model, at least in the EOS series. It doesn't work that way for the Cinema EOS series, whatever. But so R5. But this thing still not released, no pricing or anything like that, but they have confirmed for us some of these specs. So we're looking at full frame mirrorless. Here we go. It's a brand new image sensor and processor, in-body stabilization. In-body stabilization on a full frame sensor. That's pretty freaking cool. So we'll have to see how well that works. Let's see. I'm going to focus mostly on the video stuff because that's really what I'm interested in. But you've got Canon's famous dual pixel CMOS autofocus. The dual pixel autofocus from Canon is one of their things that everybody is just in love with. It is, arguably the best autofocusing system out there, and Canon's always had that going for them. But now they're getting it on a stabilized full frame sensor with dual pixel autofocus. Ooh, this is lining up to look pretty sweet. Dual card slots. Pros will appreciate that. I'm not sure exactly how you can use those. If you can record, to both at once, probably not. But my guess would be that you can, obviously have the relay recording where when one fills up, it goes to the other. Don't know. Again, this is all just speculation. But this is the big one. Look at this here, guys. 8K RAW, and that's internal, and 4K at 120 frames per second. That is nuts. So here's more about the features and everything. High-speed shooting, so this is more for stills, but the new sensor. Larger than life 8K video. I want to look at this. Sorry, I know it's a little small on your screen, but I'll read it out here. So let's see, where do they talk about it? Internal, uncropped 8K video shooting at up to 29.97 frames per second. So that was one of the things that we were like, oh yeah, they say 8K, but it's probably like a 4x crop on the sensor. No, uncropped 8K RAW on the full frame sensor. What? And then 4K video shooting at up to 119.9, so that's 120. And you can do that in 422 10-bit H.265 codec, Canon log, and dual pixel CMOS autofocus available in all 8K and 4K modes. Where's the catch? Like, you got dual pixel, you got Canon log, you got stabilization, you got uncropped 8K at up to 30p, so I'm assuming then 24 is in there as well, although with Canon we shouldn't really assume anything. But it does say up to, so that's just insane. Additional new features include internally recorded and uncropped 8K raw recording at up to 29.97 frames per second with dual pixel CMOS autofocus and HDR PQ recording, which is H.265 capability. This is sweet. My fear is this is also expensive because they haven't given us a price yet. And also, I mean, is this thing gonna overheat? Like, this thing is, that is a lot of power in a smaller camera body. I mean, obviously it's not like miniature or anything, but you know, DSLR size body, I mean, it'll be a chunky one for sure. And then they got all these other details, but those video specs are really what I wanted to take a look at. So I know the chat's been blowing up here. So let's see what you guys think about this camera here. So let me get caught up. What's that drink? We talk about that. Stefan's like, when will the Aputure 300C arrive? I don't believe there is an Aputure 300C. So clarify for me. Let's see here. I'll keep this on. Oh, She's Nuts is watching some other online content. Yeah, worth it or not saying, wonder if the price is north of 10K. Yeah, that's where I'm getting worried here. Because I'm like, okay, there's a lot in here. And this might be a great camera, but it also might be a super expensive camera. I don't know. That's one of the last things. If they give us this, you know, if they match it price-wise to around like the Panasonic S1H, which is, what is that, the $4,000 range, you know, this is going to give people some pause, and they're going to really consider going back to Canon. I would think. You know, it is their what is it, RF mount, which is their new mirrorless mount. But the beauty of that is they do have an adapter that goes RF to EF. So for everyone who's been adapting EF lenses to everything else, like I do, all my lenses are EF. It's a piece of cake to get them on there. So it's really crazy. Let's see here. No pricing, no info on bitrate. That's a good call. No info on recording length restrictions. That's a good call. Trevor's bringing up some really good caveat points that could be the ones where they kind of get us. And let's see, but people are really excited. Yeah, I kind of am too. I started off shooting Canon, not Canon DSLRs. I do have a 5D Mark III, but it took me a while actually to get to that. I started with the Canon camcorders, like the XF300 and so forth, and I really liked Canon. And yeah, I sort of shifted away from them because I wasn't really feeling anything that they had, and I was able to find better options. I actually shifted over to primarily Blackmagic, which a lot of people will say I'm crazy for doing, but I've been pretty happy with it. But this might convince me to get a Canon into the lineup again, depending on the price and depending on those features that you mentioned right there. Let's see here. 1DC followed C300 pricing. So yeah, so there's a good point. That's another DSLR camera. When the 1DC came out, it was priced about the same as their Cinema EOS C300. So this could be a very expensive camera. We don't know. Let's see here. There's no active cooling. So yeah, we're wondering about the cooling, if any heating issues. There's a lot happening, a lot of processing happening in that body. See what She's Nuts is talking about. I really want a GH6 development announcement. Yeah, so Panasonic. I do know Panasonic has an event coming up in May. I have been invited to that press conference, so look for some stuff from Panasonic in May. I have no idea what any of it is, but they do have some stuff coming apparently, and I am allowed to say that. So, but I don't know anything else, I promise. R5 battery will probably drain like crazy at 8K. That's another thing. We don't know anything about the battery life on it. You know, we could very much run into the situation where even with those LPE6 batteries, this thing could be pulling some serious juice. I mean, LPE6 batteries are used in the Blackmagic Pocket cameras, and they drain in between like 20 to 40 minutes depending on what format you're recording in and what bit rate and all of that. So yeah, battery life could be a problem. I'm sure there will be a battery pack that they release, you know, battery grip to extend your life, but then that's also more money, and so yeah, so that's something we need to think about. Let's see here. New Legend Pictures, my buddy Aaron. Yo, what's happening, man? Good to see you. Kevin saying, opinion. Nice. Save yourself there. For a limited time, sell it for $3,000. So $2,999, and take over the entire freaking camera market again. Yeah, they could come out and be like, yep, if you are an early adopter of this camera, you're going to get, you know, a big discount before it goes up. I don't know if that's really Canon style, but that would be a heck of a move, and quite a gut punch to some of the other brands out there, I think, because that dual pixel autofocus is a huge draw for so many people. It's just, you know, a lot of the cameras that have that plus some of the other features that we want are really cost prohibitive. So, she's not just saying, yeah, they could sell it at that, what people are suggesting, between 3 to 4K, because it isn't their main business, the selling of lenses, and now they've got RF ones, so getting people cheap bodies in. I don't know if I necessarily say that lenses are Canon's primary business. Canon's got their hands in everything, man. I mean, they sell printers, they sell optics, they sell medical optics, they do everything. So I don't know what their pie chart looks like for like what section of their business is what. So I can't comment on that. Neha saying 4K 120 FPS is killer. Yeah, that's crazy. That's awesome. Full frame too, man. That's nuts. And Neha saying price ? We don't know. So that's obviously one of the things that we're all hoping to hear eventually. Again, this wasn't a release announcement. It was sort of an official specs announcement from Canon for this R5. So we had rumored specs. Now we have confirmed real specs, but we still don't have a, hey, here's the camera, get your credit cards out. We don't have that yet. Trevor says, Canon never cannibalizes markets. They won't price it so it eats into some sales of more expensive options, especially the Cine line. Yeah, but that's why I'm starting to wonder, because the specs of this thing feel like they're starting to eat into their Cinema EOS line. I mean, there's nothing in the Cinema EOS line that does 8K full frame, uncropped, 30p with dual pixel autofocus. So I'm like, where does this fit in the ecosystem? It's interesting. I like seeing this move from Canon, because we've been feeling like they're kind of like, you know, handicapping a lot of their releases, like you said, to avoid cannibalizing their higher ups, you know, higher end lines in their Cinema EOS line. But I don't know, this thing is, it's an interesting move from Canon, for real. Let's see here. Kevin's asking, is the audio out of sync on my end? Let's see here. Yours is way off. Trying to refresh. It might be YouTube, but let me know, guys. I can try and introduce a little bit of a video delay, I guess, but we'll see. Just let me know, guys. I'll try and see if I can fix it up. I don't have it set up any differently than normal, but that fixed it. Okay, a refresh fixed it. Okay, a quick tech aside. But anyway, guys, let's move along here. I know we could talk about the R5 all day, but speaking of the Canon Cinema EOS line, they have not forgotten about that line either. They have released this guy right here. This is the Cinema EOS C300 Mark III. So the C300 line has been updated. It is so hard to keep track of all the Cinema EOS cameras and how many there are. So what? There's a C100 Mark I and Mark II. There's a C200, just Mark I. There's a 300 Mark I, Mark II, Mark III, and there's a 500, Mark 1 and Mark 2, and then there's a 700. I think I got them all. But anyway, this is the latest offering in here. So even this one, look at this. This is $10,999 in their cinema line. You know, I'm not particularly interested in this camera necessarily because I get a lot of the features of this somewhere else. But you know, if you are truly into that cinema line, you'll be familiar with this. I believe it's the exact same body as the C500 Mark II. So obviously it'll just be features and stuff that are a little bit reduced in there. But let's go take a look at the specs here. I see right here on the top, you know, here's 4K 120p again. 2K crop, 180 HDR. But and look at this. This is a Super 35 sensor, not full frame. Like, I mean, not that I would expect it in here, but I feel like the R5 specs surpass this. But let's take a look at our specs here. All right, so image sensor size, yeah, we got that. Actual size, internal recording, so MX, so there's Cinema 4K, and here is UHD 4K. Okay, got that. Is that really all you're saying? Recording media, CF Express. You're not gonna give me. I guess it's MXF, okay, yeah, and it gave me the bitrate. All right, is that it? No RAW, no, like, see, this is what I don't understand. The R5 will give me 8K RAW. So yeah, I'm what? Like, I don't understand. You know, I might be missing something here, and Cinema EOS guys might be drooling over this thing and be like, yes, it's everything I ever wanted. So here we go. We got a little bit more info here, so it might just be a B&H limitation. It does say Cinema Raw Lite. Okay, so that's the Raw Lite that we saw in is it the C200 that has that? I believe so. And XF AVC H.264 are its recordings. Come on. I don't know about you guys, but looking at this, I mean, like, yeah, there's the ergonomics, and it is like an easier to use body, more buttons. You know, it is truly a cinema camera, but I think the R5 looks better on paper. On paper, again, we don't know. But what do you guys think about this? Let me see. I think the R5 is the kicker, man. I think it's crazy. Okay, so Shiznut is saying one of the things I miss in here, the dual gain output is super interesting. So it does have that dual gain, they're calling it the DGO sensor, so dual gain output sensor. So that is some new tech that is in there that'll be interesting to see. Kevin saying C300 want for my talking head videos. Yeah, that's true. You know, obviously with this, one of the things that the R5 doesn't have is an easy audio solution. You know, you could obviously go dual system sound and record to something else, but if you're going to try and put audio into it, let's see, it says my connection, YouTube is not receiving enough data. YouTube seems to be having some issues today. Let me know if you guys are having trouble on your end, or if YouTube is just kind of lying to me here. But anyway, yeah, it's audio is something to keep in mind. You know, of course, you still got that autofocus and everything. So, oh, Trevor's saying the other way. The C300 III is a much more interesting camera release, in my opinion. Why is that, Trevor? Let me know. Maybe I'm missing something here. Again, I haven't dug very deep into it, and it's been a while since I've kind of kept up with the Cinema EOS line. So yeah, let me know if there's anything particular that stands out. I need to learn more about that dual gain output sensor. Thank you, Nihas. So you're saying all good, no problem. YouTube just seems to be upset, but if we're still there and we're good, then awesome. Oh, it's fine now. It looks like there might have been something and then it dropped out. Sorry about that, guys. It's YouTube's fault. No, it goes back and forth. It's YouTube's fault. It's YouTube's fault, not me. I didn't do it. It's just nothing saying previous Gen 1 and 2 were $14,999, so $15,000, so that's cheap with all the advancements. So yeah, this one is $10,999, so you're talking $11,000. So yeah, it is $4,000 cheaper than the initial releases of the previous 300 models. And it's just nothing saying, and no 500 megabit motion JPEG or anything, actually something manageable. Yeah, for a while Canon was using that motion JPEG codec, and we were not happy with that bloated and pain in the butt to work with codec in those. They did the same thing with the 5D Mark IV for the 4K recording, I believe. It's the motion JPEG, and it's just so bloated and antiquated and a pain in the butt to work with as a codec. So not cool. But yes, that's gone. That's gone. We don't see it listed here, so that's good. Kevin saying, I think the 300 should be $2,999 and take over the camera market. LOL, joking again. So Kevin just wants every camera to come out at, 25% of its price for the first few weeks and just slaughter everything else so that you can grab it real cheap. And then it'll go up to its, $11,000 price. Kevin, that'd be awesome, but I don't know if that's gonna work. Niha saying, for me, I'll prefer the R5, value for money, hopefully. Any reason why I should go for the C300 Mark III? It's up to you. It depends on what you're shooting, whether a true cinema camera like that works for you, or whether that R5 is what's going to be best for you. And we don't have pricing on the R5 yet, but we'll see. Bold and Visuals, good to see you. I think that a new C100 or C200 Mark II is coming with the DGO sensor. The current C200 is on sale $1,000 off. Now that's interesting. Yeah, updating the lineup with the new sensor, I could see them doing that. And you're right, with Canon, it is a pretty good indicator for Canon when you see discounts happening on their products. It usually means that something new is coming. But I'd be surprised to see something announced so quickly, because they rolled these two out. It seems like that would be about it from Canon, but I don't know. Maybe they're ramped up for a really big release here. Who knows? And just as it's saying, right tool for the right job kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. They are different. Like if you can compare, them both on paper to each other, you might get different results than like, oh, this one looks better, this one looks better. But the difference is when you actually have them in your hands, when you're using them on a set, when you're trying to shoot an interview or something, one might work better for you than the other. Like anything, I would encourage renting first if possible, but who knows if that's going to be an option anytime in the future, or in the near future, rather. We don't know how things are going to go. She's saying handling the C300 Mark III will be nice, but it has some sweet features. But for me, a standalone use as is basic camera would be preferable. Would be it. Preferably a GH6, but an XT4 or R5 could be it. Yeah, Panasonic peeps are begging for a G6. But actually, we did get something from Panasonic. And this is the perfect segue into that right now. We're going to go over here. Let me pull this up. This is something that is free. So you don't have to worry about your wallet. Well, unless you need to buy the products to make this happen. But I don't know if any of you guys saw, but the Lumix S1H, a real competitor and contender in that full frame mirrorless field, Panasonic and Atomos have worked together to release firmware updates for the Ninja 5 and for the S1H that are going to allow, or do allow, raw video data output over HDMI. So like Nikon did, or Nikon, depending where you are in the world, did with the Z6 and the Z7, and worked with Atomos to enable RAW over HDMI, it has now come to Panasonic. So this is freaking cool. I don't own either of these products. It doesn't really go to me, but I do see the significance of this development. And wasn't it saying like, yeah, Down-converted output over HDMI during 6K, 5.9K, and 5.4K video recording is available. I believe you can actually send and record now 5.9K RAW on the Ninja 5 when you have it attached to the S1H. That's insane. You know, again, we are getting some serious features out of these smaller body cameras that aren't, you know, the traditional sense of cinema cameras. You know, again, this is another full frame DSLR/mirrorless, you know, body. It is a mirrorless camera, so this would be in that contender world with the R5. I still think the R5 might have a little leg up, just because it does higher resolutions and it does it internal. But again, this is just comparing specs on paper. We don't know yet till we hear a little bit more about that R5. But this is crazy. This kind of collaboration between companies is fantastic. You know, this is what we need to see more of. You buy a camera, and yeah, it was an expensive camera. It is an expensive camera, you know, to pick up, but you're getting not only new features, but really large new features. Like there has been an entire new world now opened up for S1H shooters if they pick up an Atomos Ninja 5. That's, you know, obviously it's a little extra expense, but the camera got a brand new feature, which is just cool. I will put a link here so you guys can really look into this, but my guess is that if you are an S1H user, you probably already know about this. You probably jumped all over it the moment it was announced. So this is cool, and who knows what other cameras it'll come to in the future, and what else will happen. But yeah, Panasonic Atomos, boom, killing it. All right, let's see what we got here. Back to our chat, see what we're missing. She says, segue. Yes, that was a segue. That works. You teed me up perfectly for that, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, raw out from the S1H to the Ninja 5. She's saying, actually, on the topic of output, kind of strange the R5 would do internal 120 and output 60p only. Yeah, I think I saw that. Now, I'm guessing that might be a limitation of HDMI. Maybe the HDMI protocol can't no, it's got to be able to. I don't know. You know, maybe the hardware that they're using inside can't actually output 120 frames per second over HDMI. Maybe it can only handle up to 60p. And yeah, like most of the HDMI cables that I get, like the HDMI 2.0, are rated for up to 4K 60p. I haven't really seen much beyond that. Now, I'm not saying that those aren't out there. These are just what I've seen. You know, I don't really search for 120 frames per second capable cables and such. But internal, there's no limitations by the HDMI protocol. It's whatever that sensor and that processor in there can handle and can do. So maybe that's why on the R5 you're seeing 120 4K internal as opposed to the only 4K 60 out. Just a guess. I'm not sure. It could also be, no, you know, that's my best guess. That really is my best guess, is that it might be a limitation of HDMI. If anybody knows, either here in the chat or please go ahead and add it, or if you're watching the replay of this, or if you go and do some research and figure it out, put it in the comments below and let us know why you think the R5 might do higher frame rates internally than out over HDMI. My guess, HDMI limitations, not the camera. Okay. Shizan says, still want a small Ninja Star-like box to record externally. I have been wanting that for so long. I don't know why they don't update the Ninja Star. It's discontinued, and for those of you who don't know what it was a little box. It is an Atomos, no screen, no frills, pop a card in it, put it in line with your, you know, your stream and your recording ProRes. Yeah, I would love that. Did I just glitch out a little? Might have. But yeah, like I agree with you. I would love to see something like that. I don't know why they haven't made that. Rob is in here. Good to see you, Rob. Glad you made it, man. Hopefully you got the notifications. Peter's saying miss NAB. Yeah, I do too, man. You know, it is what it is. I'm glad that we've been able to connect with so many people virtually and hang out, even if we don't get to, you know, sit and have beers together necessarily. Well, I guess we're doing virtual happy hours out there as well. But at least we're still getting some exciting product announcements and stuff. So we can pretend we're at NAB. How about that? Bold and Visual is saying processing power to convert generating too much heat maybe for HDMI. That is a good theory. So he's saying that maybe it's not a limitation of HDMI. Maybe it's the conversion to pump it out is generating too much heat if they try to do 120 frames per second over HDMI. Again, heat is a big question, I think, for us with that R5. I was joking in a stream the other day that I was watching and hanging out in the chat where we were talking about, somebody was talking about the R5. Actually, it was Camera and Flask over at the C47. And I was saying, oh, Canon's going to release a Canon branded ice pack that you just put under the camera to cool it, and it'll be like $500. You know, just run of the mill ice pack, but it says Canon on it. So I'm already you know, poking fun at Canon, and this camera isn't even like officially out yet. That's crazy. What we got here? Rob dropping 5 Canadian. That is awesome. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. He said, yep, he got the alert. He's just late. Hey, no worries, man. I don't hold it against you. I appreciate that. Are my widgets not working? Maybe it's just delayed. I don't know. Things are being a little funky today. Thanks, man. That's awesome, Rob. And I'm glad you got the alert, and I'm glad you're in here. And for those of you, this is perfect. For those of you who don't know what Rob and I are talking about, make sure you go ahead and subscribe down there and click that notification bell, because if you click the notification bell, you're going to know when we go live. And also, if you follow me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all under Bart Johnson Prod, P-R-O-D, I announce before the shows every week when we're going up on there. Rob's saying, is anyone even thinking about Red's Komodo 6K? If what's been teased is true, it looks like it's aimed at that C100 crowd. I don't know much about that, and I really don't follow Red very much, so I don't know much about it. I'd have to do some research on it. I have heard, you know, somebody's racing their motorcycle up the off-ramp back there. I have heard things about it. You know, I have heard that it's aiming at that, you know, affordable, like you said, C100 range market, you know, just a couple $1,000s, and that it's 6K. I don't know. Is it too little too late for Red again? I don't know. I mean, we've got a bunch of 6K and now 8K cameras. Not saying that resolution is the be-all, end-all. But I mean, I got a 6K camera right here. That's the Zcam E2 F6, so full frame 6K right there. And it's out of frame up here, but I got my Blackmagic Pocket 6K. So I got 6K Super 35 right there. Which, look at this, segues, and I hadn't even added this. I want to show you guys this. This is pretty insane. The Pocket 6K. If you guys have seen this or not, price drop $1,995 for this thing right now. So save $500. It is $500 off. So you have a just under $2,000 Super 35 6K camera. I'm not going to go over this whole camera because I have talked about it before. Actually, I have a few videos on it. The first video was me saying, I don't really think you need this camera. And then the second video was me saying, yeah, I bought this camera and I love it. So that happens to me a lot, guys. I don't take my own advice or opinions sometimes. I'm flexible, you know, I'm willing to let my opinions change. But yeah, this is a big thing that happened within the past day or two. you know, they're in stock as well, no problems there. So, you know, a Komodo 6K, or yeah, Komodo 6K from Red. I mean, it may be easier to use than this. It may be better in some ways, worse in others. But we're looking at 6K for $5 under $2,000 here. So, and does this mean that something else is coming from Blackmagic? Because is this price drop, you know, signifying that maybe we'll get another announcement from Blackmagic? I don't know. I'm not really thinking so, but you never know. All right, and then speaking of Blackmagic, they did actually announce something. I'm killing it with the segues today. This is working out perfectly. But Blackmagic did obviously have their announcement of the A10 Mini Pro. They did that well before NAB week, and everyone was going nuts over it. It does look like a sweet piece of hardware, but I'm not going to get into conversations about that thing here. I feel like it has been beaten to death already, and it does look cool. And we'll see more as it starts, you know, being available and in people's hands, I'm sure. But let's go over here. One thing that did happen just the other day is they did sort of subtly announce new improvements to DaVinci Resolve. They released Resolve 16.2.1. Lot of new features in here. You know, nothing huge necessarily, but a lot of codecs that they've added support for. So H.265, 444 12-bit. Lot of different codecs. They've now got support for red code decode on Metal for Apple. So they've added a lot of functionality, and most of it actually is the codecs and types of footage that it can take in, which is a big deal. You know, I use Adobe Premiere, and it is pretty good at taking any footage you kind of throw at it. And some people have said that like some codecs and stuff were a little quirky with Resolve, but it looks like they have added a ton of updates in there, as well as red code. So that's interesting, especially considering that they had a little legal feud, you know, Red and Blackmagic. Or sorry, no, they didn't. Blackmagic said they didn't care and they were going to bow out. This was over like ProRes RAW or Blackmagic RAW and that kind of stuff. But anyway, it was Apple and Red who had the feud. My bad. Misspoke. Rewind. Didn't happen. So anyway, they're working together, or at least they you know, convince Red to allow them to get red code going in there. Not sure how detailed the implementation is or what you can and can't do with it, but you know, again, this may be a sign of things to come. Let's go back to our chat, see if we got some stuff there. Okay, so let's see here. So we talked about that one. Paul Vigil says the 1 year I had time to get to NAB. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Well, hopefully they'll be back up and in full force in 2021. And I certainly intend on going there again, so maybe we can link up and hang out in 2021. Forworks is saying, I feel like a lot of Red's shine has worn off, and even with a new camera coming, people aren't talking about them as much anymore. I feel the same way. I feel like Red, I don't know. I feel like they were pushing resolution for too long, and it didn't matter to most of us for the price. And now they're trying to give us resolution like close to our price range, but we've found alternatives that work fantastic. So yeah, I sort of feel the same way about Red. It's maybe blasphemy for some people. If you love Red, I'm sorry, but yeah, I just don't really get excited about Red launches. I've shot on them. I use them if someone has one and brings it, but I don't have any plans to purchase one or anything like that. Nihal says, let's use this comment as a segue to go to the next product launch. I do have another product launch in here, so we'll get to that, but you're awesome. I just want to hit up the chats. Sorry, I ruined your segue thing. I just realized I just ruined it. Oh, I was supposed to go right there. Okay. People talking about Red back and forth. Furworks is saying I would buy the Pocket 6K this instant at that price. If it just had a Micro Four Thirds mount. I can't do EF. Fantastic deal though. Yeah, that's a good point. You know, if you are really deep into that Micro Four Thirds ecosystem, you know, you've got lenses for it and stuff, then the change to the Pocket 6K with a larger sensor doesn't really, you know, it's going to be difficult for you because all of your existing lens and optical infrastructure isn't going to be able to work to it, and you can't adapt to it. So, like I said, it is an amazing deal, and if it works for you, if you're EF or something you can adapt to EF, which I don't think there is very much because of its super, super deep flange distance, yeah, you can go ahead and get it. But people are saying they agree. Let's see here. Rob is saying, I'm thinking 3 in 5 chance it's a response to the current economic and competitive environment. I doubt sales are up, you know. Yeah, you're talking Blackmagic thing. You think they're dropping it just because of the economy and sales being reduced and everything, as opposed to signifying an upcoming product release. Yeah, you could be right. Like I said, I'm pretty doubtful we'll see anything else from Blackmagic this year. I feel like they've given us what they're going to give us, and I think it's pretty good. But yeah, you might be right. And in fact, I think you probably are. But, you know, all we can do is speculate. Plus, it's been in the market for a few years now, so Niha agrees with you. Yep. Okay, Niha, we're going to go back to your other comment. We're going to pretend I didn't read it before. Okay? So everybody erase your minds. Here we go. So let's see. Niha says here, let's use this comment as a segue to go to the next product launch. I like it. And yes, the next product launch, I do have one here. You guys may have seen my video on it the other day. But we are taking a look at good old Aputure giving us a brand new light. We have the 300X. This had been announced a while ago, so we knew this was coming. We just didn't know when. And in true Aputure fashion, they really wanted to work on it and get it perfect before they put it out there. But it is released. It is shipping now. You can go ahead and pick one up. It is, I think it's about $100 more than the 300D Mark II. Either that, or depending where you find it, might be the same price. So it's $11.99. I just recall the 300D Mark II being $10.99, but that might have been a sale, so it might be $11.99 as well. But yeah, this thing is awesome. I went into, I did a video about it on Wednesday, right after Aputure's product launch. They did a live stream explaining all about it and checking it out. And I was lucky enough that they sent me one. So this arrived actually Wednesday morning, so I had just a couple of hours prior to their launch to sort of familiarize myself with it and get set up and everything. And then they did their stream, and then I did my stream, kind of just taking some first looks at it. I will do an in-depth kind of review of this and some testing. I just haven't had the chance yet, and I'm not actually really well set up in this space to do it. But the long and short is, it is obviously modeled after the 300D Mark II, so it fits into that 300 family from Aputure. It is a single point source LED, COB like we call it, chip on board. And it is the first one that has bicolor capabilities. And not only the first one in the Aputure lineup, this actually is a light that is truly one of a kind, and no other company has something that executes the bicolor like this. So let me show you guys. I'm not gonna turn it on and blind us all and all that, but I do wanna show you the element. So if you look here, it'll be kind of out of focus, but you guys can see that doesn't look like a typical element. And so what's happening under there is there's an array with a whole bunch of microscopic LEDs. So you've got teeny tiny 2700 Kelvin LEDs, and you've got teeny tiny 6500 LEDs. Now obviously your going through color temperature range is accomplished by mixing those together at different color temperatures. But the problem is, this is a light that's meant to be projected through stuff, especially like the spotlight mount and all that. And if you don't mix the colors properly, you're gonna see that. It's gonna come through in your light. You're gonna get some weird fringing and you're gonna see literally the different colors. So there is actually a glass element on front of here that is causing that crazy look, and it is textured and lensed, and basically they've designed this specialized optic. And it perfectly blends the colors together so that at every single color temperature, you are getting full blending of the colors. And you can even use it on something like the spotlight mount, where you're literally just kind of projecting this chip out as your light source. So it's pretty cool. It's got a few other cool things. I really, really like that it has two different modes that you can run it in. So there's max output mode, where, like most bicolor lights, as you start at one end of the color spectrum, or say you're at a 2700 Kelvin, and as you start ramping up and start mixing the LEDs, obviously more are on, so you're going to get a bell curve where there's a high point of brightness, and then you're going to come down a little bit as you get into daylight because the other LEDs are shutting off. So that they have that in this, they call it max output, so you can get to the top of that bell curve and you can get its maximum output that it can accomplish. But they have something even cooler that I love, and it's the constant output mode. So you are going to sacrifice output power, but what it does is it eliminates that bell curve. And so it handles and processes the output so that as you mix them, it is actually a straight and constant power output throughout the entire color temperature range, which is freaking cool and allows you to adjust color temperature seamlessly, even within a scene or a shot, and you won't see that brightness spike on you or anything like that. So it's really cool. I have a lot more testing to do. If you guys want, there is a link down below to the live show from Wednesday where I did some hands-on with this. We did set it up, we did turn it on, we played with some of the effects and stuff like that, but definitely look for some more content coming on this light. I could spend forever talking about it because, well, really, I already did, I think, an hour and a half talking about it when it first got here. But yeah, Aputure has brought us the 300X. And another cool thing from Aputure is that they are saying that for the next 3 Wednesdays, they are going to be giving us new products each Wednesday. So I have no idea what they've got going on, but definitely keep an eye on Aputure because, as usual, they're coming out of the gate with some cool stuff. So there we go. Let's see if we got anything in the chat here. Just taking a peek. Shiznut says, good segue. We can thank Neha for that. It was all him. I didn't do it. Or her, sorry. But let's see here. Shiznut says we need a shootout with those, the Godox, the Viltrox, and the Namlight Forza. I know, I would love to do another lighting shootout video. So I do have the Forza 300, I have the Aputure 300D Mark II, I have the 300D Mark I, I have the 300X that we could throw in there. I would need to get a hold of the Godox and the other one you mentioned there, the Viltrox. But I would have a hard time testing them here because I really don't have a dedicated testing space. I'm kind of in a small office, so I'm gonna have to try and get creative and figure out exactly how to go about doing that. Because I'm not in a position right now to actually buy the other 2 lights, just because, you know, these times, like I said, buying equipment, you want to be careful. Money's tight, things are uncertain. So as much as I would love to, that might have to wait a little bit. And if somebody else beats me to it, you know what? They beat me to it. But I do want to do another shootout. And maybe even against a couple other bicolors. I don't know. So I'll have to do some research and some planning on that, because that would be difficult to execute in quarantine. But I will look into it, man. Don't worry. I promise. Shiznuts is saying, I do like it, and $11.99 is probably cheap, but at the same time, ouch. Yeah, so cheap is a a subjective term. Am I saying that correctly? I don't know. But it's cheap compared to other lights that do this, like big, you know, super expensive traditional lights. But cheap does not mean that $11.99 is necessarily cheap for your bank account, because it's not. Even for me, like, you know, buying something like that, I'd be like, ooh, I really got to think about it. You know, am I going to make the money off of this and recoup it and all that kind of stuff? So yes, cheap is a relative term. You know, it depends on what you're comparing it to. So yeah, $11.99 is still pretty steep, but if you're someone who could really get use out of that super controlled, super accurate bicolor lighting, then there it is. It's a beast. Let's see here. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up to where we're. So Godox is, Niha's saying Godox is good value for the money. Yeah, I have been looking at them. I do want to check them out, promise you. I'm by no means, I love Aputure. I love their stuff. But I'm not strictly an Aputure guy. Like I said, I have the Forza series from NAB light, and I've really liked those lights, and I've done some comparisons and stuff like that. So I'm always willing to see what else is out there. I just have a really good relationship with Aputure, and you know, they do make good stuff. So that's why you see a lot of that from me, and a lot of their stuff in my kit as well, and the stuff that I buy myself as well. You know, for my professional work. That's why it goes that way. But I'm always open to checking other things out, because I think that makes you a good, well-rounded reviewer of stuff. You know, you can't just do one brand all the time. You really got to look as the market develops and see what's out there from all different offerings. So I do want to see that. Talking about used market for stuff. Shizla saying, it was cool they dropped by themselves in the live chat. They're cool folks. Oh, talking about Aputure. Yeah, Aputure popped into the live chat and hung out. Brandon was in there as well. You know, Brandon from Aputure. So yeah, definitely good people over there, as well as making good products. It was cool for them to pop into the live chat. Let's see here. Let me see. Trevor saying it's probably one or two follow-ups to the MX. Those small lights must be big sellers. Which one are you talking about? So the Aputure MX, yeah, I remember those, but I've been loving these from Aputure as well, the MCs. These full RGB suckers. Oh, I drained the battery on this one. I have one lighting and doing the blue right now, but yeah, I think this one's red. And of course I can dial and change it. I just have it preset to red, but I've really been liking these. I'd like to see one like a little bit bigger, like maybe double it in size. But we'll see. I know they have their Nova coming sometime soon, and we're still waiting to hear about that. And who knows, maybe it'll be one of the Wednesdays coming up. That'd be freaking cool. Trevor says you should reach out to Relio. I'm still waiting for a streamer to do a real-time look at those lights. They look super interesting. Where's my pen? That's in my drawer. That's a good place for it. Let me write that down. I'll take a look and see what they got. I haven't heard much about that. So, so there we go. Yeah, Niha is her. My apologies. I'm glad that I caught myself there, but I appreciate that. You're both watching. You make videos together, but Vicus is typing in the comments, so you guys are throwing me out. So I was both right and wrong both ways. You know, there we go. But that's awesome that you guys are hanging out and watching together, and enjoying the content. That's awesome. I'm glad you guys are hanging out and making videos together. That's awesome. My wife actually, when I would travel all over the place for work, you know, I was flying all over the place and shooting stuff. Sometimes I would go to some really cool places, and she was always like, oh, she's like, I wish I could come with you. And I would always joke with her. I was like, all right, well, learn how to hold a boom pole with a microphone, and I can bill for you, and then you can come. That's how I would do it. But she's an interior designer, so she takes care of all the other stuff and is redesigning our house, and as we try and rebuild it and all that kind of stuff. And I do have some news on that too. And actually, I'll share that news right now. So I don't know if you guys have seen or not, but if you haven't, please go check it out. I started a new series on this channel about my studio rebuild after the fire. So episode 1 is up right now. I'm working on episode 2, which shows our plans. It's a really cool episode, so I'm working on putting that together. And then we actually just got word that reconstruction is officially beginning May 4th. Now for me, that's especially awesome because Star Wars Day. I mean, can you tell I like Star Wars? I got lightsabers over here. I got Star Wars Legos back there. But yeah, so May 4th, construction is going to get started. So I'm going to have some episodes for that series coming out pretty quick. So I got to get caught up on that and get episode 2 done. But yeah, go check that out. Subscribe again, and click that notification bell just so that there's no schedule for when I'm going to release those. So that way you'll know as soon as they pop up, you'll get a notification and you can check it out and keep up with that build. It's going to be a really good one. I look forward to it. We're getting close to the hour here, so I'm going to make my way through the chat, see if you guys got anything else. Rob saying, honestly, my next light will likely be one of the bigger Godox V/Ls. Okay. Just on price to performance, Gerald Undone's video got me excited about them. Yeah, I saw Gerald's video too, and I will admit, it got me very interested in them as well. Darn you, Gerald. Darn you, Gerald. I'm just kidding. He's a cool guy. He makes great stuff. Love his stuff. But yeah, the Godoxes are interesting. You know, I really probably should get them in here and get them into the lineup and try them out. Shazot says samesies. So yeah, Godox is getting people's attention. Trevor says, don't Godox need mains power though? Do they have V-mount adapters? Ooh, that's a good question. To those, so Rob's talking to Shazot there, and then Shazot says, moving the V-mount battery plate and light controls out of the light body and into the standalone control box allows easy placing the light wherever it needs to be. And yeah, that's the way the Aputures are as well, with the separate control box. And at first I was kind of like, I don't like this, but yeah, it does allow you to have your controls if you're manually controlling on the control box. It's nice to have that lower when you can have your light head way up high. You don't have to like bring it down to change it, assuming you don't have a remote or something, because you can always do that. But yeah, I'll have to look into the Godox and see if they need mains power or if they can mains power. We don't say that over here. We say wall power or AC power. I just said mains. See, this is how you can tell like I work with a British company. It's like we don't have mains power, but yeah. And Peter says, you had a fire? Wow, that sucks. Glad it's being rebuilt. Yes. Yeah, go check out that video. I don't want to go super in-depth through it because it's been sort of beaten to death because people have known about it and out there. But yeah, we had a big fire at our house. But we're on the rebuild. This is not my house. This is a rental. The other house is coming back together. And that series will walk you guys through it. All right, guys, so it looks like we're about at the end. You know, I'm sure there are some announcements that I missed. I know Deity Microphones had a live stream and had some really cool stuff, but I need to rewatch that and make sure I fully understand what they've got going on with their new systems. We've got some new cameras. I think Canon with the R5 has really got us all quite intrigued. Who knows when we're going to see it, when we're going to get pricing, but at least we're interested in it. You know, Panasonic and Atomos killing it with that raw output from the S1H. Aputure giving us the 300X, the first of 4 releases apparently happening every Wednesday. So for the next 3 Wednesdays, they're going to have more live streams to release stuff. That's amazing. But yeah, we've seen a lot of cool stuff. And I know there's more cool stuff to come. Like I said, I know there's some announcements scheduled for May. Some I can talk about, some I can't. So stay tuned. Hint, hint. There are some things that I may have some exclusives on. But also there are some public ones out there. I believe DJI is having one soon. We know Panasonic is having one. and there are a few others, but basically they're stretching this this NAB week out into several weeks, which I think is good, because now they can wait for the hype of their competitors' release to die down a little bit, and then they can release theirs and hopefully not have to compete as hard with the NAB, where you're getting this and this and this and this, and so yeah, it'll be interesting. Make sure to keep your eyes on it, guys. If you do notice anything cool that you think I should check out, feel free to leave it in the comments down below. And I'm sure we're probably going to be having another live show or two going over some big announcements, depending on what comes out in the near future. But always remember, guys, no matter what, we are doing live streams every Saturday here, 1 p.m. Eastern time. There will be alerts and all that, but again, for the third time, subscribe, click that notification bell, make sure you don't miss it. And if you do miss it, that's okay. Watch the replay and pretend you're here and hang out and enjoy. All right, guys, this has been awesome. I am going to get to cleaning this room up like I said that I would. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Hang in there during these difficult times. Hopefully you're not going stir crazy. Man, let's just drool over gear together so that we don't go insane, and maybe we'll be all right. All right, guys. I'll catch you guys next time, and make sure to check out all the other great content on the channel. Watch it up. You know, we got nothing else to do. All right, everyone. Take care of yourselves.